Alright, in this video I'm going to talk about warranty for woodworking projects that you sell. Now, I never really gave having a warranty that much thought. In all the years I've been doing woodworking and all the projects I've made, I don't want to spit out a number. I don't know if the tax man's lurking over my shoulder like the Grim Reaper, but I've only had 2 items where people wanted a return or a refund, okay? And one of those items was today, and one was about a year ago. The one about a year ago was this cutting board. Woo, purty. What's wrong with the cutting board, you ask? I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but there's a crack in it. It failed. The lady called me up. She had my card. She says, "Hey, my cutting board cracked." And I was like, well, we'll make it right. You know, I didn't have any warranty thing wrote up or anything like that. But I was like, we'll make it right. Where are you? You know, are you like too far of a distance where you can't swing by? Do you want me to mail you a refund? Do you want me to package up a cutting board, mail you one? But she lived in the area. So she swung by. I happen to have like 12 different cutting boards in some different patterns. And she actually took a little of a thicker one. But she was happy. I gave her the cutting board. And I gave her a little jar of butcher block conditioner. Basically the wax mineral oil mixture for taking care of her cutting board. And then I talked to her, you know, and I was like, well, what happened leading up to this? And she said she took the cutting board, threw it into the sink water to wash it, left it soak in there, and then she pulled it out, wiped it off, set it on the counter, and when she came back, it had this crack in it. Well, you know, I would think the majority of times if you do that to your cutting board, it's probably going to crack. You know, it's going to swell up in the water, and then it's going to dry with the different kinds of woods at a different rate. And there's a huge potential for it cracking doing that. So I didn't feel too bad on it because I didn't feel like it was my fault. Don't get me wrong, I still gave her the new board and the new and the oil, and it was no charge, because even though I don't think it was my fault in the manufacturing of this board, it's probably my fault because I didn't write up a way to care for the board. You know, I didn't have a list of do's and don'ts. So now, you know, now that I've been thinking about it today, I'm going to create a sheet of how to care for your end-grain cutting board, and I'm going to make a warranty for the cutting boards. How long, you know, I know I don't get very many viewers, but if anyone out there sells woodworking projects, how long a warranty should a guy put on a cutting board? I have no idea. I'm ciphering on it right now. I mean, is this like a lifetime thing? Is this like, hey, as long as I'm still alive and kicking, you can come get a new cutting board from me? Or is this a 2-year thing, a 3-year thing? What do you think, Cores? Is this like a 2-year or a 3-year thing? Huh? Come on. Yes, I know. But so that's the first warranty issue I've ever had. Now the second warranty issue. All right, I gotta show him this big birdhouse, bud. I got a call today on this birdhouse. Okay. Now, yeah, it's looking a little rough for wear. Okay, and I got some other birdhouses that are mine because I make, you know, I like having birdhouses, obviously. So I probably have 20 plus. But I also usually keep the ones that are a little bit off when I'm making them, or ones I want to do like a durability test if I'm testing out a different way of making it. But all right, let's get to the warranty guy at hand. Warranty number 2 in my lifetime. So, how it played out is I had made a batch of these. Okay, I put them on Facebook Marketplace and I was selling them. Selling them for 50 bucks. Granted, they're a little different from this guy. The ones I'm selling, or was selling, they all sold, so that price point must have been about right. But the ones I just sold were made out of cedar. This one is made out of pine that I chainsaw milled. And he didn't have a coating on them other than the paint. You know, so everything here is pine. And then this was like a stain. It was a stain I actually used on my porch. And I had it left over, so that's what got used on his hat. So if I spin him around so you can see what he looks like. Now, a little secret with these. The ones I sell, if you take the bottom off, I write on the inside the price I'm going to sell it for and the date I made it. Okay? That's only the ones I sell. The ones I give away, I don't write anything on. But anyhow, lady sees my ad, calls me up, says she has one. Says she wants to return it, that it's in rough shape, and she wants to warranty it or get her money back. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm like, are you in the area? Can you, if you're not in the area, I was going to ask, you know, could she send a picture or something so I could know she had one, you know, just to verify she had one. And fortunately, she lived in the area, and her and her daughter come over. Our daughter is probably in her 20s. She's probably 50s. And they bring this bad boy home. And I look at it, yeah, it's in rough shape. Now, if you're watching this video, how old do you think this thing is? Well, I cracked her open. It's a 2012, okay? And I sold it for 30 bucks. All right? So I go, well, what do you want? And she's like, well, I'd like a new one. And I'm like, well, you paid 30 bucks for this one. Now I'm selling them for 50. If you give me 20 bucks, I will give you a brand new one made completely out of cedar. Still has paint on it, but it's cedar parts that are painted. And so I say, you know, because you give me 20 bucks because they're selling for 50 and you bought this one for 30. So I thought that made sense to me. And she's like, well, I'm not going to give you any more money. And so I was like, well, I can give you your money back for this one. I can give you 30 bucks. Because that's what you paid, you know. And she's like, no, you're selling them for 50. I want 50. And she's like, I'm pretty sure I paid 50 for it. And no, she didn't. She paid 30 bucks for it. But, so there's a little conflict there. And then she was going off on how it deteriorated so much. Now, my way of thinking, I'm looking at this thing, I'm thinking, this thing has sat in a tree or outside since 2012 with the sun beating on it, the rain, the snow, everything beating on this thing, birds landing on it, who knows what all's going on here. To me, it seemed, you know, in my mind, I wasn't thinking it was that I really even had to, you know, warranty it, because you're buying a birdhouse. If I go to Fleet Farm, if I bought one of the cedar bird feeders or a birdhouse, and I brought it back 9 years later or 8 years later and said, hey man, this thing changed colors, I want my money back, I think they would laugh. But I didn't have a policy, and you know, I'm trying to be a nice guy. I make these things because it's fun, and the only reason I put a price tag on them is because I'm buying tools and I'm buying stuff for up north on the homestead and stuff like that. That's what the money goes for. I'm not like taking this money and going to the bar and drinking it up. I'm kind of reinvesting it into my, it's a hobby. You know, I'm obviously not a professional at it. I do hobby grade work, and you know, I sell hobby grade products, and I only make what I want to make. You know, the money doesn't affect it. But But anyhow, so she got kind of salty, and she wanted the new one, and I wasn't going to give her the new one, because that would be, basically, it'd be a $50 loss, but it was the new one. I was selling them, and I'm getting 20 bucks more than what I was getting for these. So now I'm thinking I'm going to have to write up a warranty sheet. And if anyone that's watching this, if you make woodworking stuff, what's your warranty? What would be a reasonable warranty for this birdhouse? You know, granted now they're made out of cedar, but is 2 years reasonable? Or do I got to do, you know, because granted they're out of cedar, but they definitely deteriorate. But basically with this one, I gave her 30 bucks. She laughed. She wasn't happy. She said she's going to tell everyone how horrible I am. Gonna get that. But yeah, made in 2012. Gave her money back for it. Was I right? Was I wrong? I don't know. Didn't make her happy. And then I got these other ones sitting here that I built. These are like test ones. Like this guy is made out of cedar. But you can see I test because the cedar is harder for me to come by. So like the painted parts on this are made out of pine that I chainsaw milled up. And I don't know on the roof if it was because I painted black and it was in the sun, if that warped it. But you see how this gap emerged here on the roof? I just call it an air vent now. I mean, it's mine, so. I tell my wife, I go, that's so the air can escape, keep the birds nice and cool on a hot day. But basically now, the ones I have built recently, I converted this and I've been making it out of cedar, but no one's brought any back. So I don't know if the cedar is warping like the pine did too or not. But yeah, this was a test one. So in my test, the pine roof, the only part that's made out of pine on here, well, everything painted is made out of pine, but the pine warped on this test one. All right. Then say we go to this guy, and I showed him in a previous video. This guy was made in 2012. I've made some since then, but that's just the birthday of this guy. And he's made out of cedar. Completely made out of cedar, and then he has some paint on some spots. And I think he's holding up pretty darn good. He's looking pretty good. And, you know, 2012, it's 2021 right now. So, yeah, he is getting some cracking on the paws. Now he's getting some scratching on the paws. I don't think the birds will mind. But what kind of warranty? What the two people that watch my videos, what do you think I should do for a warranty on this if I'm selling it? These, I sell for 20 bucks. I think that's a deal. Granted, you know, I hand make them. I got this one, I got a pattern out of a magazine. And I actually use, on my router table, I use a following bit. So I kind of mass produce the parts. You know, I cut one out and then I just, you know, I'll make 10 heads and 10 feet and 10 paws and 10 legs. And so these actually go together super quick. That's how I don't feel bad selling it for 20 bucks or 30 bucks or whatever. This guy, he's made out of cedar too. Now this guy I kept because I was kind of obsessive compulsive on it. His eyeball was too close. They're not centered. This eyeball was touching the eyebrow and I didn't like it. So I didn't sell him. I decided to keep him. With these, and he was made in 2012 too. You know, this ain't no spring chicken. That's why they're looking rough. If you're looking at it going, man, these things look rough. Well, man, they've been outside a long time. And then the funny part with these, the ones that have like the higher front on it, the robins build nests on them. If you can see that in the spring. So a lot of times I'm not even getting birds using the mouth hole. I'm getting robins building nests on the top of it. Like here's another cowboy. This is a different one than the one that was warranted. This one was still built out of pine, but this one and this one were built in the same batch. You know, and this is the one I warranted. But they were built in the same batch. I just got this guy hanging out in a tree in my yard, actually. And it's actually kind of cool seeing the birds come shooting out of his mouth. I kind of like it. But I just want to talk about that. I never really see anyone online talking about warranties for the woodworking projects they sell. And I guess me not really being that much of a business guy, I'm curious. What do you think's reasonable? What's reasonable for a warranty? Because now I obviously got to come up with something and put it in paper. Because I felt like I did a solid for that lady, you know. Gave her money back after all that from something she bought from me in 2012 and hung out in a tree for all these years. And I gave her money back. I felt that I did her a solid, but she was still not happy. So I'm thinking the way to prevent that is to actually create like a warranty policy. So if you got any ideas, shoot them down in the comments and let me know. You know, what should I do? What's reasonable? All right. Thanks for watching.